In this tutorial, I'll take you through the process of constructing a perfectly tailored wedding dress. Starting from the measurements you need to measure on whether you want to sew this kind of wedding dress for, down to the cutting of the wedding dress. I'm going to explain every bit of it in this particular video. I made this wedding dress and then I documented it because I know that it would definitely be useful to a lot of people out there. My name is Oluwatosin. In case this is the first time you are coming across my channel, and you're welcome. To all my return subscribers, you're also welcome. To be able to cut and sew a wedding dress like this, the basic measurements you need to measure on whoever you want to sew for are the full length, the bust, the waist, the hip, the half length, the shoulder to under the bust, nipple to nipple, the shoulder, the sleeve length, the armhole, and then the round sleeve. Considering that this particular one is a long sleeve, you'll be needing round sleeve around the wrist, then the three-quarter length, and the round sleeve around the bicep region. With knowledge of all of this, I started by cutting the upper part of my dress. This wedding dress has a basque waistline and the back is lower than the front. Like the upper part, the back is longer than the front of the dress. So what I did was to remove fabric for the front and then fabric for the back. For fabric for the front, I consider the highest measurement between our bust and our waist. I divided this highest measurement by 2 and I added 10 inches allowance. I cut this out from the whole of my fabric. For the length, I used the basque waist length. For the back, what I did was still to consider the highest measurement between our bust, our waist, and our hip, because this back length is a bit extended towards the hip. So it happens to be our hip. I divided this by 2 as well, and then I added 10 inches allowance, folded it into 2. For the length, I just used the length of from the shoulder to the length that I want it to be at the back. Now, after bringing out the quantity of fabric I need, I started by cutting for the front. I'm not going to be drafting any pattern. I'll just be cutting directly on my fabric. So the first thing I did while my front panel is on fold of 2 was to divide our shoulder by 2, and then I added 1 inch sewing allowance. The next is to be measuring our armhole from where the shoulder stops. I'm going to be measuring our armhole divided by 2. Then I proceeded to drawing a armhole curve. What is next is to divide our nipple to nipple by 2 and I added 1 inch allowance. I marked this in like 2 to 3 to 4 places and I connected it into a straight line. The next thing I did was start marking out my princess that posterior, because this dress definitely has a princess that posterior. So on that nipple to nipple line, I measured our shoulder to nipple plus half inch, shoulder to under the bust plus half inch, and then shoulder to the half length. Remember I said that this piece is longer than the half length, is a basque waistline. I added half inch to shoulder to the half length as well. So the next is from the nipple to nipple, I measured 2.5 inches forward and then I proceeded to drawing the princess that bust here. In case you need a more detailed video on how to draft and cut a princess that bust here, I've uploaded that on my channel already. The link to it is currently showing up, and then the link to it will also be down in the description box in case you miss it from up. So majorly this is me trying to draft, mark and cut a princess that bust here. So the next was to mark the neckline, considering that this fabric is very stretchy. For the neck width, I used neck width of just 5, which is 2.5, and then for the neck depth I used neck depth of 3. It's a turtleneck, as you can see from the initial video that I played. So this part has to be a round neck. So I marked a round neck. I proceeded to cutting it out. I slanted the shoulder, and this is what the front panel is looking like at this point. For this back, the first thing I did was to mark a shoulder divided by 2 plus 1 inch allowance. This dress does not have zip at this upper part. Like the dress is starting from the waistline downwards, so I'll not be considering zip allowance in this back panel. So I divided the armhole by 2. I marked that. Then I just proceeded to marking a nipple to nipple divided by 2 so that I can perfectly cut the princess that bustier for the back. After marking all of this, the next I did was to cut it out. The back for a princess that bustier is always easier than the front. For the back neckline, I still used neck width of 5, which is 2.5 on fold of 2, and I used neck depth of just 1. Then I proceeded to marking a body measurement on this back panel right here. You remember that I didn't mark a body measurement on the front panel because I'll join the bustier first before marking a body measurement. But for this back panel, I marked it already because there's a tool at the back of the dress which I beaded on. So it's at this point that I'll be cutting out that part, and I'll be cutting it out from this chantilly and replacing it with the net. So I'm trying to mark out where I want the net to be at the back panel. I measured it, I marked it out. The center back is a bit lower than towards the side. So for the center back from the shoulder line, I measured 15. Like I said, the center back is a bit lower than the side towards the armhole, and this depends on how low you want it to be. This depends on what you're trying to achieve, but for me I used 15 at the middle, and towards the armhole side I just maintained where the dart starts from. So I cut this out and then I transferred it to the net I used. For this net I used 2 layers on each side of the back, so I cut 4 in total, and I just added half-inch allowance to the down. This half-inch is what I'll use to join it to the rest of the back panel, and I used 2 layers on each side. I didn't use a single layer, I used double layers on each side. So this is what it's looking like at this point. I proceeded to pinning it down so that when I get to my sewing machine, I just start sewing, and so that it doesn't confuse me or mix up or scatter, I just pinned it before leaving the table. So that's it for the upper part of the dress. The next I did was to cut the sleeve. The sleeve is not really a pencil sleeve, it's kind of bell sleeve on the wrist. Like on the wrist is just kind of a bit bell sleeve. So what I did was to measure an armhole plus 2 inches. I folded this into 2 and then I measured the length. Then I divided a round sleeve around the bicep region by 2, round sleeve around the 3/4 length by 2, and for the wrist I just extended my hand outwards a bit so that it can give me that kind of bell shape on the wrist. And then on this armhole side I reduced the front with 1/2 inch. You know, front is always shorter than back. And then I cut out the net on the tip of my fabric just so that the edge can come out very well. For now I'll be stopping this tutorial here because honestly it's a very lengthy video and I don't want to jam pack everything inside one video, so that I can take my time to explain very well the way I'm supposed to. So for my next tutorial I'll be uploading how I cut the lower part of this dress and how I was able to sew this dress together. Thank you so much for sticking with me from the beginning of this video till this point. If you found it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified the next time I upload a new tutorial on this channel. As much as possible, you can help me share my tutorial amidst your friends and loved ones. If you have any question, please ask me down in the comment section. I'll be more than willing to answer all of your questions. If you are interested in watching the cutting of the lower part of this dress, please click on the box on the right side of your screen. And if you are interested in watching the sewing tutorial of this dress, click on the box on the right side of your screen. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.